here's your host, Deb St.Hilaire.
Hi. Hope you're having a wonderful day today and staying cool because it is hot. Today is it's really nothing day. There's nothing to celebrate today except for we're alive and we're having a Divalution Show. So there you go. That's enough. Hey, if you haven't stopped by the studio yet, you should probably do it. It's on the corner of 3rd and Washington, right across the street from the post office. And it's really nice in here. NANCY DUBAY is our guest this evening, and she was a guest in the old studio as well. What do you think of it, Nancy?
I think it's amazing.
Good, thank you. So welcome back to the Divalution.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here.
Thank you. So we don't have anything to celebrate. It's nobody's birthdays that I know of. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the wine that we're having tonight. You know, our wine sponsor is Vino Wine Warehouse, located at 510 East Midland Street. And we're drinking an Argentinian white. It's a Chardonnay, and he got it for the Tall Ship celebration. And it has a skull and crossbones on it. It's kind of fun. He put his own label on it. It's a fruit-forward tropical fruit bomb Sauvignon Blanc. Both pirate selections are great with food and are perfect anytime. This is Greg's words, not mine. Vino Wine has got your wine any season, anytime at Bay City's lowest fine wine pricing. And that's very true. And we have 2 different wines with the skull and crossbones on them this month. One is a Bordeaux Rosé, and the other one is the Sauvignon Blanc that we're drinking this evening. So, are you enjoying the summer?
Absolutely. I really miss, though, having the doors open and letting the wind blow without being 90-some degrees. But
we did have a couple days like that.
I know, and I loved every moment of it.
Do you love sleeping with your windows open?
Absolutely.
Oh, I do, too. To me, there's nothing... A perfect day is just watching those curtains billow in the wind.
Exactly,
I love that.
Exactly. I love that. That's just a perfect image for me also.
And I'm so lucky because I live on the water, and so we get those days more than we do inland.
Yes.
So I love it. I love it. So our guest tonight is NANCY DUBAY. She is a old friend of ours. She was on the show in the old studio a couple of times, I believe.
Yes.
And she's a professional value speaker, consultant, and coach. She's the founder of an amazing program for women called Blue Chip Business Women, which focuses on increasing the professional value and personal wealth of professional women. I'm so excited to talk to you about that. Tonight, Nancy will share with you some insights from her Blue Chip Business Women Essentials program. This will include some of the same professional value strategies Nancy used to successfully charge and receive $250,000 from one client for 6 months work.
Yep.
Holy moly, I have to get a pen and a notebook. Wow, that's great. So welcome, NANCY DUBAY.
Thank you.
We're very happy to have you here. So first tell me a little bit about yourself. What brought you to the coaching business?
Well, my background, I've been an entrepreneur for 30 years, and during that time, I was a core problem solver for healthcare and a communication specialist for Fortune 500 companies. And during that time, I was always struggling, like a lot of women out there, and frustrated, trying to move ahead, feeling stuck, couldn't get going, and couldn't find any programs that really helped me. They all just seemed to be very superficial, or they were just sort of good fit. Yeah, it was for groups, and it was like you went home, you practiced this, and that was kind of it. And I would try for, maybe a week, 2, and then it just didn't work. So after that, I started thinking about how I could help other women when I finally got my own self where I was able to go out into the world and make great changes and create a stronger wealth for myself. And that's what I'm sharing with other women now in the Blue Chip Business Women program.
That's an excellent message. I love it.
Thank you.
So that's a new program, right?
Yes.
So tell us about it.
Well, I designed the Blue Chip Business Program to specifically help create a mind shift in women and to move them from the limiting value that most of them accept, including myself. I did for years because that's what we were told in the business world, to changing it to increasing in your value by creating your own value. And when you do, it's amazing. You become a highly sought after businesswoman as long as you're providing extraordinary quality and you can influence and raise your status within the system that you're working within. This doesn't mean that you have to be on a grand global scale. It can be that, or it can be something just within your community. But it's raising your value so that when people see you, they know immediately that you have something that they want.
Raising your value, that's one of the key components in my coaching as well. But it's personal value. But you have to raise your personal value to raise your professional value.
Well, the professional value, oops.
You okay?
The professional value is actually the internal value, your authenticity. So it's probably very close to something that you're also doing. But we go through an extensive discovery program and learning what it is that are your assets. Blue Chip Women is about having assets that other people want and are willing to pay for it. And that's what we go in and we discover in the essential part of the program. We have 3 levels. We have the essential, we have the relationship advantage, and then we have the industry influencer. So the first part, the essential part, is 100% all about you. And for some women, that's a little hard. They
Yes.
like to focus on their little things that they're selling, their pens, their programs or whatever. But this is 100% about you. And we go in, we discover all these wonderful, amazing capabilities that you have, the strengths. We align your values. We align so many things that you already have. It's not something you have to learn. It's something you just have to discover.
Right. And so we don't even realize that we have them. So we have to discover them. And, some things that we don't think are valuable, I'm sure that you can find that they are.
Absolutely. There were so many things that, example, a lot of my experiences, they were just things that didn't seem that relevant to me because it was just something I had done,
Just
checked
part of your
off,
life.
just part of my life. We all have seen the resumes that kind of show that. And that was my focus because it's kind of interesting the way that in the business world, men are hired and promoted based on their potential. Women are hired and promoted based on their proven successes. We have to change that. We have to show we have great potential in multiple different areas. And that's part of the Blue Chip Women philosophy is making that take place. Because just because you've done some things, those are amazing. But you can create the unimaginable and make it happen. Program that I worked on where you mentioned earlier with the $250,000, that was a dream that I had working with a client that was a combination of several dreams actually that came to fruition, and I didn't have any idea how that was going to take place. But I had always wanted to go to Asia, didn't know how that was going to happen, and I always had wanted to produce a large event. Wasn't sure how I was going to do that because I was just a solo entrepreneur. I was working in the automotive industry, but pretty much all those programs went to the big marketing firms, PR firms, not a little solo entrepreneur like myself. But I saw opportunities and I latched onto them. And that's something we also teach in the relationship advantage, where you see opportunities, you plant some seeds. And it turned out that I was paid $250,000 to produce and direct the Shanghai Auto Show in China. And I did the whole thing myself. I brought on I had to hire all the talent over there and here, choreographers. The shows over there are, at this time, this has been quite a while now, were very different than what they are here. They were a full-blown production. Lighting, dancing, music, multimedia. And
I bet it was exciting.
It was exciting, but I stayed in 5-star hotel. I dined with executives and millionaires and all kinds of dignitaries and things. And after it was done, I flew up to Beijing and my other dream was to walk the Great Wall of China. And
oh my gosh.
And got paid a lot of money to do that.
To do something that you always wanted to do. That's wonderful.
Yeah. So one of the things in the program too is to get people to focus on what they want, what their goals are, not the how. The how comes.
Right, it does.
But not the how.
You have to set your intention.
You have to set your intentions, and you have to work towards those intentions. But every time I focus on that stupid how, I hit a roadblock.
Right. And when I was trying to get this radio station up and going, and I was already doing the Divalution Show, but I was so focused on getting the radio station up and going, and I just kept hitting brick walls. Because I was focused too much on the how. You're absolutely right. And then when I just pulled in a little bit, focused on the show, all of a sudden the radio station started coming.
And for those of us who are controlling like I am, and perfectionist.
I'm a little bit too.
I'm a recovering perfectionist.
I'm glad that you're getting over it.
It's a slow road. But yeah, that's one of the things that when I find myself in that stuck position, that's one of the first things I look at. Sometimes there's other things. Sometimes it's your strengths that have gone to your ego side and no longer now they're a liability. They're not an asset.
Give us an example of that.
For instance, like I'm a high learner. I mean, I love learning. That's one of my strengths. And I can take that instead of working towards my goal, I can sit there and just research and not really move forward on what I'm trying to do. And it's now become a liability rather than an asset. So you have to be careful of that. Some people are high achievers. I have a client, I should say, who's a high achiever. And she was finding herself just trying to constantly achieve things. And she was hitting brick walls and couldn't figure out why, because it wasn't happening fast enough for that achiever side of her. We said, slow down, pull it back. And then things are starting to happen for her. She was able to focus a little bit more. So, yeah, that's one of the other things you have to be careful of is watching your strengths don't become a liability.
That's very interesting. And it makes me really think of and I am a recovering perfectionist as well. And I'm surprised I haven't seen you at the meetings. But when I wrote my book, I just kept redoing it and redoing it and redoing. And I took you know how on the web you can take all those free classes, and it was Ryan Eliason. Have you ever heard of him? He too is a recovering perfectionist. And he said there's never a right time to let something go. Sometimes you just have to let it go and just see what happens.
And it's hard. I was in media production for a very long time, and I was very lucky to have a mentor who helped walk me through that part of my life of letting go, because like you said, every time I'd go into the edit bay, I would say, oh, no, this has to be changed. That has to be changed.
Yes.
And he's like, let it go. They'll love it. And they did. But I still was like, but what about this? And what about that? And so slowly I'm able to let things go.
Good. And life is easier when you're...
Well, it's not only easier, but it opens up.
Whoa. I guess it's 7:30. It's only 7:15. Well, it's time for a break.